I picked him up at a hospital in Tom's River at 9 at night. An old tow truck operator, retired now, who'd called a car because he couldn't drive anymore himself. He was in his late 70s. Big hands, gone soft and spotted with age, but you could see what they'd been. He moved slow. He had an oxygen thing clipped under his nose, the little tube, and he breathed with effort. He'd just had some kind of treatment, he said, and his daughter usually drove him, but she was out of town, so here he was, calling a stranger, which he clearly hated to do. The destination was a house about 20 minutes away. We pulled out. He was quiet at first. Then he noticed something. I had a CB radio sticker on my dashboard, an old one, left there by the guy I bought the car from. He pointed at it. "You run a CB?" he asked. I said no, it came with the car, but I asked him about it, and that opened the door. He'd driven a tow truck for 51 years. 51! Started at 16, riding along with his uncle, and never did anything else. Police tows, accident calls, the overnight shift, the holidays, the blizzards. 51 years of pulling people out of the worst moments of their day. "You know what a tow truck driver really is?" he said. "Everybody thinks we just move cars. We don't move cars. We show up when your day has gone completely wrong. Nobody's ever happy to see me. You only call me when you're stuck, when you're wrecked, when you're stranded on the side of the road in the rain at 2 in the morning. I show up at the worst moment of people's days. 51 years worth of worst moments. And I get them home." I said, "I never thought about it that way." He said, "Most people don't. We're invisible. We're the truck. Nobody remembers the tow guy. But I remember them. I remember thousands of them. The lady whose water broke on the parkway. The kid who wrapped his car around a pole and walked away without a scratch, shaken like a leaf. The old man whose car died on the way to his wife's funeral, and I drove him to the funeral myself in the tow truck because there was no time to do anything else, and we left his car on the side of the road and I went back for it after. 51 years of people on the worst day of their lives, and I got them home. Every one of them. I got him home." We drove for a minute. His oxygen tube hissed softly. He said, "I'm dying, by the way. I should say that, since you're being so nice. The thing they were treating tonight, it's not getting treated, really. It's getting managed. There's a difference. I've got months, maybe less." I didn't know what to say. I said, "I'm sorry." He waved a soft hand. "Don't be. I'm 78. I drove a tow truck for 51 years, and I never once dreaded going to work. You know how rare that is? Most people hate their jobs. I loved mine every single day. I got to be the guy who shows up when everything's gone wrong and makes it a little less wrong. That's a good life. That's a life that meant something. I'm not sad about it." He looked out the window at the dark road going by. "I'll tell you the only thing I'm sad about," he said. "I'm sad I can't do it anymore. Not the dying, the not working. 2 years I've been retired, and I miss it like a limb. I miss the radio. I miss the calls. I miss pulling up to some poor stranded soul at midnight and seeing the relief on their face when they realize help finally came. That look. I lived for that look. The look that says, 'Oh, thank God, somebody's here. I'm going to be okay now.' 51 years I got to be the answer to that look. And now, I just sit in the house." We pulled up to his place. A small house, a porch light on, a wheelchair ramp built over the front steps. Recent, you could tell. Built for the way things were now. He didn't get out right away. He sat there, gathering himself, gathering his breath. He said, "Can I tell you something, since I'll never see you again? You've got a tow truck driver's job. You know that? Same as me." I said, "How do you mean?" He said, "You show up for people. You get them where they need to go. Some of them are having the worst day of their life, and you're the one in the car with them. You'll never know which ones. But you're the answer to the look, same as I was. The look that says, somebody's here. I'm going to be okay now. You give people that. Every day. Most of them won't remember you. Doesn't matter. You gave it to them anyway." He paused. "It's a good life. The showing up. Don't let anybody tell you it's just driving. It was never just driving. It was never just towing. It was always the showing up." Then he opened the door, slow, and he got himself out, and he went up his wheelchair ramp into his little house with the porch light on. A man who'd spent 51 years being the relief on a stranger's face at midnight, going inside to manage what couldn't be treated. Here is what I think about now. He said it was never just driving. It was always the showing up. And I've turned that over in my head more times than I can count, because I think it's the truest thing anybody's ever said to me about this job, and maybe about a lot of jobs, and maybe about life. There's a kind of work the world treats as invisible. The tow truck driver, the night nurse, the guy who plows the roads at 4 a.m. so you can get to work, the driver who shows up at the airport when you've missed your flight and your whole trip is falling apart. The world calls it unskilled, calls it low, calls it just driving, just towing, just cleaning. And the people who do it spend their whole lives being invisible, being the truck, being nobody remembers the tow guy. But that old man saw it clearly, from the far end of 51 years and the near end of his own life. It was never just towing. It was showing up at the worst moment of a stranger's day and being the relief on their face. It was being the answer to the look. Somebody's here. I'm going to be okay now. And there is nothing invisible or low or unskilled about being the reason a frightened, stranded, broken down human being gets to feel, for 1 second, that they're going to be okay. He got thousands of people home, every one of them, on the worst day of their lives, for 51 years. And he wasn't sad about dying, because he knew what his life had been for. He'd been the showing up. He'd been the relief on the face. He'd been the answer to the look. I hope when it's my turn, I can say the same. I hope I showed up. I hope I was, for at least a few frightened strangers in the back of my car on the worst night of their lives, the thing that said, somebody's here. You're going to be okay now. That old tow truck driver is gone, most likely by now. Months, he said, maybe less. But somewhere out there are thousands of people who were once stranded and frightened and sure their day was ruined, and then a tow truck pulled up, and a big man with big hands got out, and they felt it, that flood of relief. Oh, thank God somebody came, and they got home safe, and they never knew his name. He knew theirs, or he knew their faces. 51 years of faces. It was never just towing. He told me so, and I believe him.